G'day guys, welcome back to the channel. So, if you watched my last video, you'd have seen we actually took quite a few new 6 stars to rank 3. And one of them was this guy, Vision Age of Ultron. Now, this is a very old champ. He's been around for like 7 years almost now in the game. It's kind of crazy. And yeah, we took him to rank 3 for a couple of reasons. He's actually... What I like the most about this guy is his sig ability. But I'll go about his rest of the kit first, which won't take long because there's not much to go over. So basically, his special attacks all do the same thing, just with like different levels of potency. So special attack burns basically 40% of your opponent's power and inflicts direct damage. Special attack 2 is 100%, and special attack 3 is about 50%. He's also a robot, so he's immune to poison and bleed. And then when he uses his special attacks, if the opponent's power gets reduced to 0, which is mostly off the special 2, they get a heal block for debuff for 7 seconds, which isn't very long. But my favorite part about his kit, and I think most people's favorite part about his kit, is his sig ability. So mine's level 100 right now, and ideally it would be at max sig, but he's actually... it's a pretty good level at sig 100 already. So basically he steals 28% at sig 100 of the power that he drains, which is really good because and it's quite unique really. The only other champion that sort of has this power is Doom, and Doom's obviously a much better champion than Vision, but Doom doesn't have these immunities. So as you can see, it's a very ordinary kit, but it can actually do a lot. It is quite slow because he's an old champ. He doesn't have much damage. His crit rating is pretty average. His crit damage rating is pretty average. But recently, he's actually got quite a lot of really good synergies that have helped him boost his damage. Mainly boost his damage because it really needed a boost, and it's something that I definitely want to see if they ever buff this guy. Is definitely more damage. Because they have a really solid base kit here to work with, but I don't want them to just do make it another just a generic robot, because I think they could definitely do more than that because of this sig ability. There's a lot they could do with that. Because it actually holds up today. The power steal it can make him really control certain fights. It can make opponents not have to throw specials for an entire fight, which is I'm going to be showcasing later in this video. But let's go over the synergies that I'll be using in this video. So the main one I'm going to be using is one with Vision Arcus. Now this is actually really good for both champions. I know Vision Arcus isn't everyone's cup of tea, but I like him quite a bit. He's very powerful, and he gets much more powerful with this synergy. So for Vision, he gets a Fury buff for 6 seconds whenever he gets the power burn, and it's the more potent, the more power you drain. So if they're at a special 3 and you use your special 2 to drain them to 0 power, you get quite a potent Fury from this, and it actually does hit quite hard. Not obviously as hard as a lot of other rank 3s, but still very decent for an older champion. And it's actually really good for Arcus as well. So Arcus, he gets armor shattered off special 2, and that's longer depending on how many armor Rex the opponent has. And that usually just works against robots. But this expands it to all tech champions in the game. That are metal, which is most tech champions. And it means that he can shut down quite a lot of the tech class, giving them no power. Especially champs that have really annoying specials, like block damage wise. Like War Machine, Punisher 2099, Psycho Man, Guardian, like all these champs, they're metal, and Arcus can completely shut them down. Not only give them no power, but also reduce their ability accuracy to 0. So it's actually a really powerful synergy for both champions, and it's definitely my favorite one. And then the one we use quite a bit as well this video is one with Warlock. So obviously Warlock's quite quite a significantly better robot than Vision is. And for most robotic fights, like fights that you want a robot for, you want to use Warlock because he's obviously a much more powerful champion. His damage is way better. He's got the healing, he's got the armor breaks, he's got the shocks, he's got the infections. Especially when the opponent's regenning, Warlock is an obvious choice. But the synergy he has with Vision and also the Ultrons is whenever a Warlock teammate would receive a debuff they're immune to, which is in Vision's case is Poison and Bleed, they get a 60% Fury. And this is actually really good for fights where like Biohazard, Caustic Temper, where you constantly would be gaining those Poison and Bleed debuffs. It actually, it improves his damage quite a lot. So it's one that I run a lot in this video. And then the other one, which is the newest synergy, one that I run a bit, but not too often, is one with the new Scarlet Witch. So, where is it? Yeah, and it's actually a really good synergy for Scarlet Witch as well. Only an 8% chance, but she gets a 30% aptitude, which is pretty decent, and it lasts for a while as well. Then the one with Vision is, if the opponent's at 0 power, because they have a heal block, and he throws a heavy attack, he gets a 1000 Fury, like 1000 attack rating Fury, for 15 seconds. It's quite a long time. So it's like compared to his, I'm running Suicides at the moment. Most of the fights I use, he's not with Suicides because he's, compared to robots, he's actually not quite suicide friendly because he's a lot of it. His kit is spamming special attacks. But his base damage here is without suicides would be 2965, so it increases damage increases attack rating to about 4000, which is pretty decent. So yeah, there's a lot of damage sources from these synergies, and it is a shame that they're not in his base kit. Like it is something that, especially the Arca synergy, I think that would work really, really well in his base kit if they decided to give him a buff. But yeah, that's basically how Vision synergies work, and let's see what they're like. So I've got a bunch of gameplay to show you. I'll put timestamps in the description below for specific fights, and then after I'll give my overall review on this guy. So yeah, enjoy. Alright, so we're going to be starting off with some war gameplay actually. This is off-season war, obviously, but we've got the new global node Unstoppable Armor, and Kingpin is actually one of those defenders that has Unstoppable Armor. This is node 25, so the Footloose and Kinetic Transference. Kinetic Transference is a really good node for Vision because it means the opponent has more power, and it's more power for us to steal. So he does throw that special one, which obviously activates Footloose. We really just want to get to that first special 2, and then the fight is going to be well under control for us. He does trigger the passive Unstoppable there from Unstoppable Armor, but we just wait that out. He's being a bit stingy with... we can get a nice intercept there. He's being a bit defensive. We back off there just in case he triggered the passive Unstoppable, which he didn't. We get the special 2. Unfortunately get clipped a few times. And this fight, if it was a season war, I'd definitely be using a Power Start 1. Because it would get the fight under control much quicker. We land a parry there, he doesn't shrug it off, luckily. So we take a few hits at a block, which means he's at a full 3 bars when we throw the special 2. And the power burn damage is just over 11k. Because we don't have any synergies at the moment. I was testing out Kitty as well in war, so we were using Kitty and Tigra. So we get a few nice intercepts there. I think he doesn't trigger the Unstoppable there. We get another nice intercept. That'll be pretty aggressive here because we're on quite low health. We don't want to take too much block damage. But as far as block proficiency goes, Vision's is quite average. So he triggers the Unstoppable there. But we've got this fight pretty well under control. Get the special 1 and then another one. We also were running suicides in this fight, which meant we'd lost a lot more health than we could have, or we should have, because normally I wouldn't ever running suicides for Vision in war. Then this is another war, a few days ago actually, and we're just testing out Vision on path 5 here. So we've got a Havok, and you can see I have a Warlock there who's a much better counter for this Havok here, obviously, but I want to see how Vision goes. So this is node 2, so this is the one where they go debuff immune on knockdown. And there's also got ebb and flow heavy. We get a nice intercept there. Want to block right after flooring a 4-hit combo, just in case he decided to throw a special one. We get the heavy there, that activates our passive fury. And we want to get to a special 2. Unfortunately he throws his special 2, which means there's less power for us to steal. But we throw the special 2 anyway, get a nice clean intercept there. Throws the heavy just to get rid of a few plasma. We don't, because Vision has no armor up buff obviously, so we have to rely on our power drains to remove all that plasma. And now we have a special 2 and he has a special 2, so the power drain is going to be pretty decent. Get a nice heavy counter there, means we get the passive fury, more damage. Minute to this fight, he's pretty much halfway down. It was good. Get a nice clean intercept there. So we are running the Warlock synergy, but that's not going to have an effect here because Havok's not going to inflict any bleeds or poisons on us, obviously. And that power burn damage is about 10k it's hitting for, so it's not terrible, but for a rank 3, a special 2 hitting for 10k is pretty sad, especially with class advantage. And it's really one of those things that I hope they change in the future because, you know, all the damage just comes from the actual power burn. There's no like red or white, yellow or white numbers on top of that. It's just that red power burn damage, which is a shame because it makes it kind of, you know, underwhelming the damage wise. Although the power drain is very good. And then this is the next fight on Path 5. He's actually a really good, Vision's actually a really good Mojo counter because, you know, he can keep his power in check pretty easily. And this is also ebb and flow heavy. And the only difference here, he has heavy hitter instead. And this Mojo is running suicides, but it's good practice. Because Mojo can be a bit of a annoying defender sometimes in war. So unfortunately he throws a special 1 here. I didn't want him to throw that because I wanted to, you know, steal more power. But we throw the special 1, special 2 there while we still have the passive fury. Knock him down again. And parry timing was a bit off in this fight, I just realised. A nice clean intercept there into a special 2. That gets us back to a bar of power because I think what a lot of people don't realise is the power burn actually comes into effect after they get the power from our special 2. Which is, that probably doesn't make any sense, but you know, when we throw our special attack, that gives the defender a bunch, you know, a certain amount of power, right? And then we steal the power after. So, you know, if he's below a bar of power now, you see there, it actually gives him the power and then we steal it back, which means we steal more power than we would. Unfortunately, we get almost die here actually, but so I have to clutch this up here. He does have the protection at the moment. We throw the special 1 and that gets him down, so definitely not a clean fight at all, but you know, he can work. So I think that's it for the war gameplay. And now, alright, so I forgot to show the synergies for this fight, but this is the 6.1 boss. The first quest. This is a Sabretooth boss. He has Oscillate, and also there's a no retreat global, and we triggered a no retreat right at the start. But Vision is a really good counter for this for several reasons. The main one being is just controlling his power, because his special attacks are quite annoying to fully evade with no retreat. You normally have to take at least 1 hit into block, and when he has that passive fury from Oscillate, it can hit quite hard. And then the other reason Vision's not the worst option for this fight is he has that heal block, obviously, which we just trigger there. It only lasts for 7 seconds. I really wish that it would last for longer, and maybe even make it a passive heal block so that it would work against champions that shrug debuffs, but I'm probably asking for a bit too much there. But at least a longer heal block, like maybe 10 to 12 seconds would be really good for his kit. It wouldn't be overpowered at all in today's meta. But yeah, Vision's doing really well here because Sabretooth's only thrown one special this entire fight, and he's almost halfway down. And I think, yeah, we do have the Arcus synergy running because we get that Fury buff from getting him to 0 power. And obviously that Fury is more potent the more power we steal, so we want to give him as much power as possible before we throw that special to try and maximize our Fury damage as much as we can. And Osculate is obviously a very annoying node for some people because they play very, very defensively in that armor phase. They're a full combo in a block, which is pretty annoying. Didn't get a reparry in. But his damage isn't, it's not the worst. It's not the worst with that Fury buff. So I think if that was in his base kit, it would actually make him his damage output much more acceptable. Wouldn't be amazing, but it would be more bearable. Because this fight, while it's not a slow fight for Vision, it is slow compared to a lot of other champions. And I'm not saying that. Like all these fights that I'm showing today, Vision is not the best option for any of them at all. Not at all, because there are so many champions that have much better damage output. They can control power almost as well, just in different ways, and they have more potent heal blocks. Like Warlock, for example. But it was fun testing him out, seeing what he can do, because I think it really surprised me today how much could handle and how potent his damage output could be. So the next fight we have here is obviously the notorious 6.1 Crossbones. Now he used to, was it Biohazard that he used to have? I think so. But we have the Warlock synergy and the Arcus synergy at the moment, so we did get a Fury buff right at the start from the Warlock synergy. The pre-nerf Crossbones, like I said, had Biohazard, so it would have meant we would have had a passive, like a Fury buff from Warlock all the time, because we would have been constantly rocking a bleed on us. Now this is one of the reasons why I wish that Vision's heal block is not only longer, but also a passive to deal with fights like this, because it wouldn't make him overpowered at all. And this is quite a long fight for Vision because this guy does have 400k health. He's very beefy, and he has that Arc Overload regen. But this also has Power Struggle. Now Vision is actually a really good counter for Power Struggle because I didn't go over it before, but at the start we basically pushed him to right below a special 3. And when he has 2 bars of power, we had 2 bars of power. And then we use that special 2 to push him to a special 3, and then we'd steal all that. And because he got pushed to a special 3 during our special attack, it means we get a bar of power. So it means we constantly have more than 1 bar of power than him, for the whole fight. Because we can use that special 2 here to push him to his special 2, and then we get back to a special 1. I'm going to speed up this fight here because it is quite long. You can see we want to get him to just below 2 bars of power, throw our special attack to get him above 2 bars of power, and then we get that power back. The Vision is really, really good counter for Power Struggle. Not only does he have more bars of power than the opponent, but he can completely prevent the opponent from ever throwing a special attack. It's really powerful. It's something that we value in a lot of really, really good champs, like Dr. Doom, Wake, Ghost to a certain extent. It is a really, really powerful ability to be able to completely prevent opponents from throwing special attacks. Obviously, the reason why Vision's held back in being a very meta champion is his damage output, and also his lack of utility. Because his Power Steal is really, really good utility. It's just the only thing he has. And in today's meta, that is not enough to hold up as being a really, really good champion. There we go. We got the Crossbones solo. And then the next fight we have, I think is this, yeah, it's the 6.2.2 Sinister boss. So this is really a perfect matchup for Vision, because we have the Arcus synergy, and we also have the Warlock synergy. Now that provides us with Fury buffs, obviously, because this has Caustic Temper, so we're pretty much always going to have a Fury buff. And because it's Caustic Temper, our damage is reduced by 90% unless we have a Fury buff, but we're always going to have a Fury buff. Now the other really important note here is Prey on the Weak. So whenever our Fury buffs expire, or any buffs expire, he gains 4% power, I think. I think it's a bit more because he had a Mystic genetic temper thing or whatever. It means that this guy is going to gain power really quickly. But as long as we get to a special 2, by the time he gets to a special 3, not only do we steal all his power, but we get the maximum Fury from draining all 3 bars of power. Power burn damage is about 13k, which isn't too bad. And yeah, we can just completely prevent this guy from throwing special attacks. And also we have that heal block as a bonus, which means when we crit, when he's heal blocked, he won't, regenerate that damage. And we have to do quite a lot of blocking because we don't want him to throw special 2. Not only is it a bit of a annoying one to evade, but it means there's less power for us to steal. But we're able to be really aggressive here. He does throw special 2, unfortunately, which gives us the concussion, so I just want to wait that out here and then go back in. But he's pretty much always going to have at least half of his max power, usually 2 bars when we throw that special 2, which means you get a lot of power back. We get another special 2 there. We've got 2 Furies now, one from the Vision synergy, one from the Warlock synergy, and his damage is really not bad at the moment. He was hitting, well over 10k mediums. Get a nice intercept there. 9.5k lights. Without boost, just with synergies, 14k mediums. It's not bad. Yeah. And they're 2 synergies with pretty decent champs. A lot of top champs, they have synergies with champs that suck. But Vision has synergies with really decent champs. I know, like I said before, not everyone's a fan of Arcus, but he's quite a good tech counter with that synergy. The next up we have the Icarus boss in 6.2.3. One of these nodes is Limber, so we kind of cheated here. We brought white mags for that guidance boost. It also gives us 15% attack. And we have the Arcus synergy, of course, so we had that 15% attack and also the synergy from Arcus. We do have to throw a lot of heavy attacks here to get rid of those Fury buffs, because Vision has no way to deal with that degen if that activates. So it is quite a slow fight in that regard, but obviously Vision is really good Omega Red counter because he's a robot, so the spores really take a long time to generate, so we're not going to be in any danger from that part of Omega Red's kit. I'm going to throw a heavy attack here because it was a bit hard to keep track of the Furies because we obviously have that one from Vision Arcus, so when we get to 8 of the Icarus Furies, that's when we start degenerating, but a lot of the time we'll have that one from Arcus as well. So that special 2 pushes us back to almost a special 2 because we threw it right below 3 bars of power. So it's really potent. Get clipped there unfortunately, but we recover. Get a bit of healing back from adrenaline. 13k mediums without the Warlock synergy, just from Arcus and Magneto. Not terrible. And I think it's obvious to see how much of a damage buff this guy needs, because while he can do these fights without synergies do hold you back from creating a full team, because this wouldn't work for all of the class gate stuff, because you need a certain amount of chance from each class, and it works sometimes, but you won't always be able to get 10k mediums out of this guy. And obviously this does have Icarus, but a lot of the time we don't have many Furies from Icarus. 6, 7 max. I think we can chain a few heavies here in the corner. This heavy actually has quite a decent reach. Get a special 2 intercept there, and we're almost done with this guy. And one more combo does it. Yeah, pretty clean fight, quite slow, but it does the job. Obviously, I wouldn't use him for this fight over, say, Ghost or Captain Marvel movie, but he does the job. Alright, this is a really cool fight. So this also is not the perfect matchup for Vision, but he actually does really well. Because the most annoying, I think the most annoying node of this fight is the one where he gets more power rate every time he throws a special. But with Vision, we can completely prevent him from throwing specials. He also has cornered, that's nothing to worry about. And he has, I think it's Extinction Protocol, where he gets more attack the more power we have. Unfortunately, he threw the special 2 there. I wanted to get to our special 2 before he threw any special attacks, but steal a bit of power there. And I need to just get rid of that plasma. We have the Arc Synergy running, of course. But we just want to, get this fight done without him throwing any more special attacks, which is very possible because our power drain is so effective. He also has an additional, I think, 50% power rate. That's good for us because it means there's more power to steal. So ideally, we'd want to throw a special 2 when he has at least 2 bars of power to get more power steal and also for a more potent Fury buff, which we are able to do quite easily. He can throw the special ones sometimes, but we always go for a hard block after a 4-hit combo when he has a special 1 to minimize that chance. Because he can deal with it, the plasma build up with our special attacks, because they always remove all the plasma. Since it's our only source of removing plasma, because we don't have an armor up buff. It's quite uncommon for a tech champ, pretty much all of the new tech champs these days with an armor up buff. There's so many Havok counters these days. Vision is definitely very low on the totem pole in that regard, but when it comes to this, where he's getting more power per special attack, he actually does work really well. Damage wise, no, but in terms of power control, yes, very well, very well. So again, nice clean intercept there. Go for a hard block in case he decides to throw the special 1. And his damage into block is quite nasty because we have, 2 bars of power, so it was about 1k per hit. So we want to get a nice number of intercepts in because we are quite low on health due to all that block damage. I'd rather take a bit of block damage than have to deal with, more and more power as the fight progresses. So I think I used mainly Doc Ock when exploring this quest, because like Vision, he can also, pretty much completely negate Havok throwing any special attacks, but Doc Ock does it in a different way. It's a way I prefer, but Vision also does it quite nicely. We get that power drain right when he hits 10 plasma, so we minimize all of that. We're quite low on health, but we finish him off there with a little combo. He's down. Really clean fight. I was really impressed with that, with this fight in particular. Alright, so now we're in 6.4. This is the Thor boss. We've got the Arca Synergy running, of course. Now this, as far as Act 6 bosses in general go, this is definitely one of the simpler ones, but Vision really simplifies this quite a bit because a lot of this fight is baiting out special attacks from Thor, because not only does he have his power gain from every 20 hits, but he also has his special attacks cost half as much power, which is really good for Vision because it means Thor keeps a lot of his power from throwing special attacks, which means there's more power for us to steal. Especially if we wait out the passive power gain he gets, we can always make sure we steal his power when he has at least 2.5 bars of power, ideally 3 for a more potent Fury. And this is going to be quite a long fight because this Thor has quite a bit of health. It's like over 500,000, I think, if I remember. And we are going to speed it up here because, like I said, it is quite a long fight, but Vision does really well here. Obviously, like, he has that pretty average damage output, but he really controls it very well. And we can, make sure our power Pistol 2 is really potent. That it's always typically above 13k, which is ideal. Fury buff from that isn't bad either. So we pretty much always want to chain into a combo so we activate the power gain mid combo so that we can, you know, maximize the power he's getting. And this is like an example of why I want there to be extra damage in that special 2, not just the power band damage, because it really makes sense for a rank 3 6-star to have more than 13k damage on that special 2. Yeah, it's really clean so far. We have taken quite a bit of block damage, but you know, we can't complain too much. He's done really well so far, and just not having to worry about controlling his power. Baiting out too many special attacks is really good. Couple more combos. Special 2 down to 3%. We throw a special 1 here, I think. Oh no, we just finished him off with a basic attack. So yeah, really clean fight. Vision. Obviously not the fastest, but he works really well. Alright, so I think that's it for the Act 6 fights. Yep, so now we're in Act 7. And this is second quest in Act 7, 7.1.2. We've got a Green Goblin boss here. 600k health. Now this is one of the probably more annoying fights, boss fights in 7.1 because he has, because there's power reserve, I think. So, and there's, you know, there can be a lot of block damage from his special 1 if he throws a bunch of them in the fight. And there's also redlining. So basically, whenever we reach a bar of power, we have an extra 75% combat power rate. If we get to 75% of our max power, all our power gets drained. So we want to basically throw a special 2 as soon as we get it. So it means that the Fury buff we get from the Arcus isn't going to be very potent. But it means Green Goblin's basically never going to have the chance to throw a special attack. Because we're always going to be able to steal his power. We're going to be able to throw special 2 very frequently. And that also means we can pretty much have a permanent uptime on that heal block because we're able to spam special attacks so often. And it means we can completely cancel out any healing that he might be getting from his charges. He is getting a lot of the green charges because we're pushing him over a bar of power. But whenever he has more orange than green, he has the regen, but we're able to pretty much completely prevent that. And so he's already almost halfway down, and the block damage we've been taking is much less than if he had been throwing a lot of the special 1s. Obviously you can, you know, push into special 2s, which you can completely avoid, but it's really a good choke at that. We throw that special 2 in the block, unfortunately, but luckily he didn't punish us. Get into special 2 for that special was nice. Get him more potent fury. And yeah, just a really clean fight from Vision. I think I used Magneto mostly during exploration, which was, you know, obviously much quicker because Magneto's block efficiency is ridiculous. But as far as power control goes, yeah, Vision really shines here. So yeah, we're almost in Assassin's range, which we have 1 point in. Up to around 200 hits, which for Vision against oh yeah, we clip a few hits there, but get a bit back to adrenaline. But yeah, for a 600k health fight, obviously 200 hits for a rank 3 6-star isn't very amazing at all. Like most could probably do it in 100 to 150, if not less. But it's really why Vision is being held back. Because even with his base kit, if he just had more damage, he'd be someone I'd be, you know, more tempted to use more often. Because at the moment, there's really not much point in using him because of his damage output. But for the raw power control he has, which is really potent, sometimes it's worth using him. He's never going to be the ideal option for these kind of fights, but I think that's why he's like the perfect candidate for a buff at the moment. You know, a lot of champs that that have been buffed, they had a really dog shit kit to start with. They had nothing going for them, War Machine included. So the next fight, because the next fight we have is the 7.1.4 Weapon X boss. We brought War Machine for the attack pre-fight, so we get an extra 15% attack, I think, and our debuffs last a bit longer. So it means our heal block's gonna last a bit longer. Now Weapon X is a a very annoying defender for a lot of people. He's quite tricky to fight because a lot of the fight he is unblockable. And also a lot of his kit is regen, so it's very hard to out damage that regen. But we're able to with the heal block we get. And he also has the aggressive node, so he's going to be throwing specials a lot when he gets them. So which is actually bad for us because we want to maximize the power he gets when we throw our special attacks for a more potent power steal. I think we throw a couple special ones here, or just one, to get him to 25 charges. That activates his Berserker Rage, and then we just want to wait this out. We also do throw a special one here just to keep his healing under control, and it also means because the longer he's in the Berserker phase, the quicker his charges fall off. So throwing a special one there, it just extends that duration a bit longer, which means that the charges fall off quicker afterwards. But yeah, our damage output isn't too bad. I think we're just running the Arcus Synergy, and we also had the bit of attack from the War Machine pre-fight. But yeah, going back to what I was saying before about he has a really solid base kit, right? A lot of champs that have been buffed, Magneto, War Machine, Falcon, Punisher 2099. They had almost nothing going for them before. And they've had really solid improvements. Bishop as well, in a certain way. But Vision has a really solid base kit to work with, and there's lots they can do with it because it's so it's such a blank slate that they can work with because there's not his abilities is like 5 lines, which means I think he's just a perfect candidate for a buff. Not that he's a bad champion now. It's just I know they can do a lot more with him. I'm really excited to see what they can do with him because there's a lot they could do, a lot of ways they could go about it. Whether it's incorporating the synergy he has into his base kit or just giving him more attack. Passive heal block, more potent heal block, just more utility with his special attacks, something with his heavy attack maybe. Yeah, they could do anything because his special attacks, they all work the same way at the moment, and that's extremely rare in champions these days. The kits you see these days are so long and so complicated, not complicated, but just so in depth that there's something different on each special attack and heavy attacks and intercepts or whatever. I mean, one idea they could do like with Kitty Pryde when she's in phase and she throws her special attacks, her passives are incinerates. Like they could do something like if you finish your combo with a medium and then throws special attack, the heal blocks a passive, or if you finish with the light as a debuff, like something like that. It doesn't have to be major, but and then make it last longer. That could be really good improvement. Alright, so yeah, I was really happy with this Weapon X solo. Yeah, Vision obviously major theme across all these fights. He's not the best option, but he can work. So now we have a Tigra. So Tigra special attacks, they can be very annoying to dodge, especially her special 2. And she does get a lot of power in this fight from a couple of the nodes. There's also heavy assault, so heavy attack is increased by heavy attack damage is increased by 500%. So we're able to hit 36k heavies, which for a rank 3 on heavy assault is quite sad. But yeah, we take it. And so whenever she throws a special attack, she gets a bunch of prowesses, depending on how many combo we have, and she also removes our combo whenever she does that. And then if we knock her down afterwards, she takes a bit of direct damage, but I think you'll see later in the fight, The max is like 30, but like detonating all of those prowess, it only did like 12k damage, which is quite sad. It was very underwhelming. I thought it would be a lot more. There's also staggering beauty, so she's gonna sometimes stagger our fury buffs, which is a shame. So yeah, she throws the special one there, and then I think we knock her down with a heavy here, but yeah, only 12k for 30 prowesses. It's very underwhelming. That's the main note on this fight is the mod combo, I think it's called. So we're just gonna stick to the heavy attacks because that's a much better source of damage, and then we'll throw those special twos. So we don't have to worry about her throwing any special twos in particular. The special two is hitting harder than the heavy attack from detonating 30 prowess. We stick to those heavy attacks. She's most of the way down. Did get hit, I think, before. Yeah, Vision works really well here. Still not as well as like Torch or Doom, but he does the work. It's really nice, just after throwing a special 2, already having a special 1 in those those scenarios where you might need it. In cases of really strong power gain. So a couple more heavy attacks, I think it should go down. I guess down to 3%, so one more should finish her off. And it does. Yeah, pretty generic 7.2 boss, but it was fun using Vision. Alright, so now, oh yeah, this was a really fun fight. So like that Crossbones fight, this Punisher boss in 7.2.3 also has power struggle. So we're gonna showcase that cheese again that Vision can do with power struggle. So he also gets a lot of power from the Surge Protector node, I think. Oh, it's not a lot of power. I think he retains power or something when he throws his special attacks. Yeah, that's what it was. But we get a nice clean intercept there. We're going to push him to just below 3 bars of power. Throw the special 2, and we get back a bar of power. So now we're always going to have more power than him by a bar. And we also get a bit of bonus damage by throwing out special attack before him, because it means we detonate all those surge charges. It means the special 2 normally there would be hitting for like 8 or 9k, but now it's hitting for 18. Which is not bad. So again, we're going to push him to just below 2 bars of power, throw that special attack, and 22k that time. So definitely not too bad. And as a bonus, he's not throwing into special attacks because Punisher 2099, the block damage can really add up, especially with a boss. In 7.2, they have quite a lot of attack. Vision is able to completely shut that down. Keep his power under control. We have that heal block there for when he reaches 15%, so that regen won't activate too much. Unfortunately, to throw a special 1, I wasn't ready for that. I was kind of surprised, which means we take a few hits. But it's not the end of the world. So we just basically want to reset. We have 2 bars of power the same as him, but we just want to push him to just below 3 bars and steal that power back. Hitting for 23k now. Not bad. I probably could have been a bit smarter with the block damage. Maybe dash back a bit after throwing a combo, so he wouldn't throw a special attack immediately. But he does throw a lot of heavy attacks here, which is good. Means you don't take as much block damage as we could. But yeah, it is hurting us a bit. Over 1k each hit, and like I said, Vision's block proficiency isn't amazing. I think we just have the Arc Synergy running for this fight. We don't need any of the others really. Could use a Scarlet Witch Synergy, but we throw that special 2 there to completely shut off the healing, which is good. But because it's only 7 seconds, it won't last the whole time. Which is one of the reasons why I think it should definitely be longer. So yeah, not counting for the block damage, Vision did really well here. Punisher only threw the one special attack for the whole fight, and he has 600 odd health, 600k odd health. But that's it for the Act 7 fights. I didn't want to. I could have done a few more. Like there was a couple of fights in 7.3.4, with all the Mystic bosses like Sorcerer Supreme and Symbiote Supreme. Vision, when I practiced, he did really well there. It was just so long, those fights, because they have so much health. And I didn't want to make this video too long. Like, it's already long enough, I think. So, but I decided I have a few quick more fights to finish off. So we're in variant 3 now. This is the Wolverine boss. So he has Vigorous Assault. I think he also has the Aggressive Node and Mighty Charge, which is a shame because it means he's gonna purify our heal blocks a lot. But we can shut off the healing for a little bit with the heal block before he dashes forward. But the main thing why Vision is really good here is because if you don't know, Wolverine's regen actually scales with how much power he has. So by keeping his power to below a bar of power, we actually really minimize the regen he gets. See, that one's only healing him for 200 a tick, which is nothing. We can easily outdamage that even with Vision. Only 50 now, 70, which is nothing for a rank 3. And so yeah, just being able to keep that power under control really minimizes that regen, which makes the fight much quicker for Vision. You really don't have to worry about that regen at all. You do have that heal block, but he's going to shrug that off pretty much all the time. It was unblockable there, so I tanked a few hits, which I shouldn't have done, but oh well. I don't think we're running the Arcus Synergy. I think we're just running the Warlock Synergy for this fight, so could have been running the Arcus Synergy to make it a bit quicker. Yeah, pretty solid for Vision. He's quite a good Wolverine counter, not the best. I pretty much always use like Warlock. But now we're in another variant 3 boss. Yeah, this is a really fun fight because we have Chitinous Thorns. And we have the Warlock and also the Arcus Synergy, I think. So, just like that Sinister fight in 6.2, we're going to be activating that Warlock Synergy pretty much all the time. Because we're going to be constantly triggering bleeds. So, yeah, Vision does really well here because obviously Colossus special attacks aren't anything special, they're easily avoidable, but getting that Arcus Fury is really good. Increase that damage by quite a bit. And also you'll see that even though he doesn't have any healing, the heal block's lasting for quite a bit longer this time because it's variant 3, and each tech champion that you have on the team increases the duration of your debuffs by, I think, 10% each, and we have 4 techs on the team each, so means the heal block lasts for quite a bit longer than it normally would, which obviously doesn't apply in this fight. But if Wolverine didn't have Mighty Charge, it would mean we keep that pretty much permanently on. Did cop a few hits before, but yeah, I was just like, I'd recorded so many fights, so I was just exhausted at this point. So yeah, we are going to speed this fight up because Colossus is quite tanky. Like, see, the damage output isn't terrible with those double furies, just like you saw in the Sinister fight, and he also has class advantage here, just like he did in that Sinister fight too. So yeah, he's most of the way down now. We're able to keep that Warlock Synergy all the time, obviously, so it's an extra 60% attack. I'm not sure exactly how the potency of the Arcus Fury works, what it scales up to, but it is a pretty decent boost. Alright, so he's almost down here, hitting 8.5k mediums, which is nothing to complain about. And yeah, he's down. Alright, so that's it for the fights we had today. I really did want to, record a few more. I might do that in the future, but I really didn't want to make this video any longer. It's so long at this point, but if you watched all of them, thank you so much. A lot of them did feel quite similar, I'm sure, but he really surprised me in the last few days with his damage output without suicides. Yeah, it was really good, especially with those synergies running, and even with those synergies, it was quite slow, but like I said before, I think this guy is the perfect candidate for a buff because there's so much here to work with. Not so much, but there's so much they can do with this kit because they have a really solid foundation. Not only with this, but also the synergies that they could, adapt and incorporate into his kit. So yeah, I really hope they do buff him because I'm really excited. I'm really excited to see what they could do with him. I threw out a couple ideas before, but there's literally so many things they could do with this guy because there's so many possibilities. So my overall thoughts on this guy is currently, when compared with the rest of my tech champs, especially in the 6-star variety, there's nothing really that sets him apart too much. But he does have that raw power control, which is really better than any other X 6-star, apart from maybe Dr. Octopus. But Dr. Octopus's power control works a bit differently. As far as just raw power control, power stealing, Vision is definitely the best. Warlock is just as good, even better, but that's only when the opponent's regening. Nimrod's also really good, particularly against mutants. But yeah, as far as raw power control goes, Vision definitely takes the cake. It's just, it's just so good, and a lot of times it's very unnecessary. It was definitely necessary in that Sinister fight with the Warlock synergy. It was necessary, I'd argue, in the Sabretooth fight to prevent him from throwing all those special attacks. It was necessary in that Punisher 2099 fight. But all those fights, Vision is definitely not the best option, which is a shame because I think that's a big reason why people are put off from ranking this guy. But it's not only that; it's also his damage is still very average. It's very 2015. There's not many reasons to use him because of that damage. It's not an acceptable level for end game content. And also he does need quite a high sig. It's very he's been in 2 featured crystals so far, and I've had the privilege of pulling him 5 times, and I also put the 20 romance sigs into him from that event a few weeks ago. And ideally he bring those synergies as well, but while he's overall he's quite average, but that power steal is very top tier. But because it's like I said before, it's really something we value in those top champs that we have is shutting off that ability, shutting off the opponent's ability to throw special attacks. It's a really strong ability just to be able to control a fight like that. But unfortunately, while he does do it quite a bit better than most champions, because of the the lack of utility, the lack of damage, there's really no reason to use him, unfortunately. So I really hope this guy gets a buff. I think he will eventually. I don't know, a lot of people are hoping him to get a buff from what I've seen in Discord and line and stuff. But yeah, I'm actually really excited to see the potential buff announcement in the future because he's a really fun champion. He's very old, obviously, but I actually enjoyed using the rank 3 a lot in the last couple of days. Really surprised me, like I said, with his damage output, and I hope they do a bit more with him. He definitely deserves it. But that's enough of me. I should stop talking. I've repeated myself so many times today. But thank you guys for watching. I hope this showcase showed you a few things about Vision that you might not have known. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Peace out, guys.